What's going on, Aurora Alliance, and welcome back to a brand new Star Wars Battlefront weapons related video. Now in this video I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be comparing the A280C and the E11 blaster rifles in Star Wars Battlefront. Now from what I remember, these two weapons are pretty much the starting weapons that you actually get in Star Wars Battlefront, so obviously straight away they get overlooked as some of the best weapons in Star Wars Battlefront because they're the first ones you're given. So people think, why would you have the best weapons right at the start of the game? But from general consensus and how I've actually played Star Wars Battlefront, I can kind of agree that the A280C and the E11 are underrated in Star Wars Battlefront. I do think they're a lot more powerful than people actually give them credit for. The A280C is a weapon that I've been using since the first day of Star Wars Battlefront. It is always my reliable Star Wars Battlefront weapon, unless I am playing a close range game mode and the A280C just isn't really performing as well as I thought it would have. Then I will change to one of the blaster pistols. A lot of people recommend the E11 blaster rifle to me. They say it's a lot more powerful, they say it's great at range and close range, and the statistics I'm going to go over in this video for these two weapons will show you how powerful these guns actually are. So we're going to start out with the fire rate of the A280C and the E11. The A280C has a 400 rounds per minute fire rate, while the E11 only has a 300 rounds per minute fire rate, which means the A280C actually fires around 33% faster. The fire rate is one of the reasons why I actually prefer the A280C over the E11, just because I like guns with a really high fire rate, so that when I'm at close range, the gun fires enough bullets within a short space of time to be able to get a kill, and at long range it means I can actually control the burst. It does fire really quick, but if you just tap on the fire button lightly, you're going to control how fast this gun actually does fire. The E11 does fire a little bit slower, like I've said, but at range that can be really helpful because it means that you have more control over where each bullet is actually going, especially if you only tap the fire trigger every now and again, like I said, to control the fire rate even more. The A280C fires 27 shots before overheating, and the E11 fires 19 shots before overheating, which means the A280C again can fire 42% more shots before overheating, which could give you the advantage in a gunfight if you're up against a group of enemies and you have a lot more blaster bolts to fire before your weapon actually overheats, as well as being able to fire 42% more shots before overheating. The A280C actually heats 31% slower as well, which is kind of obvious because it fires more bullets before it overheats. But like I said, this could save your life in a situation where you are up against more enemies if you have more bullets to actually fire before your gun needs to cool down. The A280C has a bit of a lower first shot recoil multiplier as well at 0.1, where the E11 has a 1 times first shot recoil multiplier, which means you're going to get less recoil with the A280C, giving it that edge over the E11 once again. The A280C also has slightly less spread increase per shot at 0.03, where the E11 has 0.08 spread increase per shot, which means the A280C spread increases 63% less, but that doesn't mean that the E11 doesn't have advantages over the A280C. The advantages of the E11 are that it has a much more max damage of 35 compared to the A280C's 25, which means the E11 does 40% more damage at close range. So although it does fire less, it does cause a lot more damage, which could give you the advantage if you are going for things like headshots. It's going to kill the enemies a lot quicker than the A280C actually would. The E11 also has much more minimum damage at 15, where the A280C only has a minimum damage of 12, which means the E11 does 25% more damage at long range, giving you more chance to get a kill. Because at long range, when you tend to hit enemies, once they get hit, they sort of panic and run for cover, and with the E11, if you hit them, you're going to cause a lot more damage, meaning it's going to take less shots for you to actually kill them, which means you have more chance to kill them before they actually run into cover. The E11 also has slightly less upwards recoil of 0.15 against the A280C 0.2, which means the E11 has 25% less upwards kick, which is going to make it a little bit more accurate, especially at long range when the targets are a lot smaller, so that recoil really does matter at these long range gunfights. If you're playing a mode like Blast though, the recoil isn't going to matter too much because a lot of people tend to be at a close range. The E11 also has a lot faster recoil decrease of 15 versus the A280C's 10 points, which means the E11 recovers 50% faster from recoil, so if you stop firing, the E11 is going to be back to its original position 50% faster than the A280C, giving it that advantage over the A280C, especially in a gunfight. However, the A280C and the E11 do have a lot of equal statistics as well. They have exactly the same drop-off start distance of 10 meters. They have exactly the same drop-off end distance of 60 meters. They have the same maximum distance of 1,500 meters, the same cooldown rate of 1 heat per second, and the same muzzle velocity of 500 meters per second. And of course they have the same amount of recoil to the left and to the right of 0.1. So depending on your preference, depends on which one of these guns you actually choose. Like I said, I prefer a faster firing weapon, so that at close range I feel like I'm getting a lot more shots onto a target before they kill me or I kill them. But at close range, the E11 might let you down if you miss your first few bullets. Although it does have a much higher max damage and lower recoil, it does have a lower rate of fire, and that paired up with its lower shots before overheating. If you miss your first few shots, it means you're less likely to get those crucial shots back on target because you might have overheated the gun by the time you actually can kill the enemy. Where if you have the A280C, it is much more of a sort of spray and pray type weapon with its higher shots before overheating and its higher rate of fire. However, with skilled players, if they use the E11 at close range and their accuracy is really high, they have a much higher chance of killing you because of the higher damage. So which gun you choose out of these two is completely down to your personal preference. Like I said, I prefer a higher fire rate and more shots before overheating, so I choose the A280C all of the time. But if I'm having a bad few games, I do tend to pick up the E11 just so I can pull it back with its higher damage rate. Let me know down in the comment section below which of these weapons you would actually choose more in a gunfight or a game mode in Star Wars Battlefront. And if you've liked this video, then smash a like on it. If you're new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date with all things Star Wars. And may the Force be with you.